The Valorian Empire had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. They had conquered 800 worlds. They had crushed every species that stood against them. Their warships were the most powerful machines ever built. Their soldiers numbered in the billions. No one challenged them. No one dared. So when the order came down from the High Council to send 5,000 warships to a small planet at the edge of known space, many commanders were confused. 5,000 ships could destroy entire star systems. 5,000 ships could end civilizations. Why send such a force to a tiny world with only a few thousand inhabitants? The answer was simple. There was a human there. Admiral Zorath stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Conquest. He looked at the screens showing his fleet. 5,000 warships stretched across space like a metal cloud. Each ship carried enough firepower to burn a continent. Together, they could crack a planet in half. "Admiral," said his second-in-command, "we are approaching the target world. The human colony called New Haven." Zorath nodded slowly. His gray skin was covered in old scars. He had fought in 100 wars. He had never lost. But he felt something strange in his chest. Something he had not felt in many years. Fear. "Show me the target," he said. A picture appeared on the main screen. It showed a small house on a hillside. Green fields surrounded it. Mountains rose in the background. It looked peaceful. It looked harmless. "This is where he lives," the officer said. "Marcus Cole, formerly a soldier in the Human Defense Force, age 53. He retired here 8 years ago. He lives alone." Zorath stared at the picture. Such a simple place. Such a simple life. But he knew what this man had done. Every Valorian knew. "How many ships did we lose?" Zorath asked quietly. "In the first contact war?" The officer hesitated. "Sir, that information is..." "How many?" 3,412 ships, Admiral. All destroyed in the Kepler system. In a single battle. Zorath closed his 4 eyes. He remembered that day. The entire invasion fleet had entered the Kepler system. They were going to take Earth's first colony. It should have been easy. Humans were new to space. They had only a few hundred ships. They were weak. They were primitive. They should have been easy to crush. But one human had changed everything. Marcus Cole had been a captain then. Just one small ship under his command. When the Valorian fleet arrived, the Human Defense Force was overwhelmed. Their ships were destroyed, one by one. Their commanders gave the order to retreat. The battle was lost. But Marcus Cole did not retreat. He flew his damaged ship directly into the Valorian fleet. Everyone thought he was going to die. Everyone thought he was committing suicide. But he had a plan. A crazy, impossible plan that no Valorian could have imagined. He found the command ship. He found its weakness. And he did something that should not have been possible. He used a captured Valorian weapon to send a signal through the fleet's communication system. The signal carried a virus. Not a computer virus. A real virus. A disease created by human scientists. The Valorians were connected. They shared thoughts through their technology. Their neural links let them fight as one mind. But that connection became their death. The virus spread through those links. It jumped from mind to mind. From ship to ship. In 6 hours, 3,000 ships went dark. Their crews died screaming. Only a few hundred Valorians survived. Zorath was one of them. He had been on a scout ship, disconnected from the main fleet. He watched his people die. He watched one human destroy everything. The war ended after that. The Valorians retreated. They left human space alone. For 20 years, there had been peace, but the Empire never forgot. They never forgave. "Sir," the officer said, "we have entered orbit. All ships are in position." Zorath opened his eyes. On the screen, the small blue and green planet turned slowly. Somewhere down there, Marcus Cole was living his quiet life. Maybe he was eating breakfast. Maybe he was working in his garden. Maybe he thought he was safe. He was wrong. "Send the message to all ships," Zorath said. "We are not here to destroy the planet. We are not here to kill the colonists. We have one target, one mission. Find Marcus Cole. Capture him alive. The High Council wants him brought back for trial and execution. They want the galaxy to see a human beg for mercy." He paused. "But if he resists, if he fights, you have permission to use any force necessary. Do not underestimate him. Do not let your guard down. Remember what he did to our fleet. Remember our dead." He looked at the picture of the small house again. This time, he is alone. This time, he has no ship, no weapons, no army. He is just an old man on a hill. But still, we have sent 5,000 warships. Some of you may think this is too many. Some of you may think this is weakness. Zoreth turned to face his crew. His eyes were cold and hard. It is not enough, he said. May the gods help us all. Begin the landing. Across the fleet, drop ships began to fall toward the planet like burning rain. Thousands of soldiers prepared for battle. They checked their weapons. They said their prayers. And far below, on a quiet hillside, Marcus Cole looked up at the sky. He saw the ships coming. He saw the fire trails. He smiled. Finally, he said softly, I wondered when you would come. He walked inside his house and closed the door. When he came out again, he was carrying a bag. He looked at the sky one more time. Then he walked into the forest and disappeared. The hunt had begun. Commander Vex landed his dropship in the field near the empty house. Around him, 50 more ships touched down. Soldiers poured out, their weapons ready. They formed a circle around the small building. Vex looked at the house. The door was open. A cup of coffee sat on the porch. Steam still rose from it. The human had been here moments ago. Search everything, Vex ordered. He cannot be far. His soldiers moved quickly. They broke through doors. They scanned every room. They found nothing. Just simple furniture. Old books. Pictures on the walls. Vex picked up one of the pictures. It showed Marcus Cole with other humans in military uniforms. They were smiling. Behind them was a ship with the words Spirit of Earth painted on its hull. This was the ship he had used to destroy the Valorian fleet. Sir, a soldier called out. We found something. Vex walked to the back of the house. His soldier was standing by an open door that led to a basement, but it was not a normal basement. Stairs led down into darkness, and on the wall, words were painted in red. Welcome to the hunt. Try to keep up. Try to keep up. Vex felt his skin grow cold. He remembered the stories, the warnings that had passed from soldier to soldier after the war. Never fight a human alone. Never chase a human into the dark. Never believe a human is beaten until you see the body. Send a team down, he ordered. Full combat gear, night vision, thermal sensors, everything. 10 soldiers went down the stairs. Their weapons lit up the darkness. Their sensors showed the tunnel stretching ahead for hundreds of meters. Sir, one of them reported, the tunnel goes deep. It splits into many paths. This is a whole network down here. Vex cursed under his breath. The human had prepared for this. He had built an escape route, maybe many escape routes. While the Valorians were landing their ships and forming their lines, Marcus Cole had slipped away like water through fingers. Admiral Zoreth, Vex spoke into his communicator. The target is gone. He has tunnels under his house. He could be anywhere by now. There was a long pause before Zoreth replied. His voice was heavy. I expected this. Spread your forces across the region. Block every road, every river, every path. Put sensors in the sky. He is one old man. He cannot hide from 5,000 ships. But even as the Admiral spoke, Vex was not sure. Humans were different from other species. The Valorians had learned this the hard way. Most aliens used logic in war. They calculated numbers. They measured strength. When the battle was lost, they surrendered. They accepted defeat. It was the rational thing to do. Humans did not think this way. When humans fought, something else took over. Something old and wild. They called it many names. Courage, stubbornness, madness, the will to survive. The Valorians had studied humans after the war. They had tried to understand them. They had learned frightening things. Humans came from a world that tried to kill them. Their planet had deserts and ice fields, volcanoes and hurricanes. Predators hunted them. Diseases attacked them. They should have died out long ago, but they did not. They survived everything. They adapted. They grew stronger, and when they finally left their world, they brought that survival instinct with them. They did not fight like other species. They did not follow rules. They did not know when to quit. A human with nothing to lose was the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. Vex organized his soldiers into search teams. They spread out through the forests and mountains around the house. Drones filled the sky. Sensors scanned every heat signature. Satellites looked down from orbit. Hours passed. Day turned to night. The search continued. Then the first explosion happened. A Valorian patrol was walking through a narrow valley when the ground beneath them erupted in fire. 20 soldiers were killed instantly. The survivors ran straight into a hidden pit filled with sharpened metal rods. Before anyone could respond, a second explosion hit another patrol 2 kilometers away. Then a third. Then a fourth. "We are under attack," voices screamed on the communication channels. "We cannot see him. He is everywhere." Vex tried to restore order, but panic was spreading. His soldiers had fought many enemies before. They had faced armies and monsters and weapons of terrible power. But they had always seen their enemy. They had always known what they were fighting. This was different. This was a ghost in the darkness. A shadow that struck and vanished. A single human who seemed to be in many places at once. By morning, 97 Valorian soldiers were dead. Not one of them had seen Marcus Cole. Admiral Zorath listened to the reports in silence. His commanders were shouting over each other. They wanted to bomb the entire region. They wanted to burn the forests. They wanted to use weapons that would kill everything for 100 kilometers. "No," Zorath said quietly. "That is what he wants. He knows we will not destroy the colony. There are other humans here. 3,000 innocent civilians. If we kill them, every human world will rise against us. The war will begin again." "Then what do we do?" a commander demanded. "We cannot catch him. He knows this land. He knows where to hide. He has had 8 years to prepare." Zorath stared at the map of the region. The mountains, the forests, the rivers. All of it was a weapon in Marcus Cole's hands. "We are thinking like Valorians," the admiral said slowly. "We are thinking about numbers and firepower. But this is not that kind of war. This is a hunt, and we are not the hunters." He turned to face his commanders. "We are the prey." A cold silence fell over the room. No one wanted to believe it. But deep down, they all knew it was true. Somewhere in those dark forests, an old man was watching. He was waiting. He was planning. And he was not afraid. On a ridge overlooking the Valorian base camp, Marcus Cole lay flat against the cold ground. He watched the enemy through a small telescope. He counted their ships, noted their patrol patterns, memorized their movements. He was tired. His body was not young anymore. His bones ached from the cold, but his mind was sharp. His heart was steady. 8 years, he whispered to himself. "I have been waiting 8 years for this." He pulled a small notebook from his pocket. Inside were pages of plans, diagrams, maps, traps, escape routes. He had always known they would come. The Valorians never forgot. They never forgave. It was only a matter of time. So he had prepared. He smiled in the darkness. Then he disappeared into the trees. The real fight was about to begin. 3 days had passed. The Valorian death count had reached 417. Admiral Zorath had stopped sleeping. He stood on the bridge of his ship, staring at the planet below. Every few hours, another report came in. Another patrol destroyed. Another trap discovered too late. Another group of soldiers who never returned. The human was a ghost. He moved through the forests like wind. He struck from shadows and vanished before anyone could react. He used everything as a weapon: rocks, trees, the rivers, the very ground itself. Zorath had studied human warfare before the invasion. He had read about their history. He knew that humans had spent thousands of years fighting each other. They had developed the art of killing to a level no other species could match. But reading about it was different from seeing it. Down on the surface, Commander Vex was leading a patrol through a rocky canyon. His soldiers moved slowly, checking every shadow, every hole in the rocks. They had learned to be careful. They had learned that the human could be anywhere. "Stay alert," Vex ordered. "Keep your spacing. Watch for tripwires." His soldiers nodded. They were nervous. Vex could see it in their movements. These were veterans. They had fought in dozens of campaigns. But this was different. This enemy was different. Suddenly, one of the soldiers stopped. He pointed at something on the ground. "Commander." A footprint. Vex moved closer. There in the mud was a clear human boot print. Fresh. Recent. He looked up at the canyon walls around them. Rocky ledges and dark caves stared back. "He was here," Vex said. "Maybe he still is. Fan out." And the words died in his throat. Above them, High on the canyon wall, a small light blinked, then another, then a dozen more. Vex had just enough time to understand. The lights were detonators. The footprint was bait. "Run!" he screamed. The canyon walls exploded. Thousands of tons of rock came crashing down. Soldiers tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. The avalanche buried them in seconds. Vex was thrown against a boulder. His armor cracked. Pain shot through his body. Rocks piled on top of him, pressing him down, crushing him. When the dust settled, silence filled the canyon. Nothing moved. Vex coughed. Blood filled his mouth. He was trapped under the rubble, but somehow still alive. He tried to move his arms, his legs. Nothing worked. Then he heard footsteps. Someone was walking through the debris. Calm, slow, in no hurry. A shadow fell over Vex. He looked up and saw a human face. Gray hair, deep lines around the eyes. A calm expression that showed no emotion. Marcus Cole looked down at the trapped Valorian commander. "Your soldiers are dead," Marcus said. His voice was flat. "About 40 of them in this group. That makes over 500 total." Vex tried to speak, but only blood came out. Marcus kneeled down beside him. "I want you to live. I want you to tell your admiral something. Can you remember a message?" Vex nodded weakly. "Tell him this is just the beginning. Tell him I have enough traps to kill 10,000 more. Tell him that every day he stays on this planet, more of his soldiers will die." Marcus leaned closer. "Tell him the only way this ends is if he leaves. All of him. Every ship, every soldier. Gone." He stood up and looked at the sky, where Valorian ships were visible as tiny dots. "I did not start this war. Your people came to our worlds. You killed our families. You burned our cities. And when we fought back, you called us monsters." His eyes grew cold. "But you made us this way. You taught us that the galaxy is a dangerous place. You taught us that only the strong survive." He looked back at Vex. "Congratulations. We learned the lesson well." Then he was gone. One moment he was standing there. The next, he had vanished into the rocks like he had never existed. Hours later, a rescue team found Vex. He was barely alive. They rushed him to the medical ship in orbit. They saved his life. When he woke up, Admiral Zorath was standing beside his bed. "The message," Zorath said. "Tell me what he said." Vex told him everything. Every word. Every look on the human's face. Zorath listened in silence. When Vex finished, the Admiral walked to the window and looked out at the stars. 5,000 warships, he said quietly. 5,000 of the most powerful weapons in the galaxy. And one human is making fools of us all. "What do we do, Admiral?" Vex asked weakly. Zorath was quiet for a long time. Then he turned back to face Vex. "We adapt," he said. "We stop thinking like an invasion force. We start thinking like hunters. He knows the land, so we study it. He uses traps, so we find them first. He fights at night, so we bring light to every shadow." He moved to the door. "And we stop sending soldiers to die in small groups. We move as one force, thousands of soldiers together. So many that no trap can kill them all. We push forward inch by inch until we find him." Vex nodded. "It will take time." "We have time," Zorath said. "He does not. He is one man. He will run out of tricks. He will run out of places to hide. And when he does, we will be there." But as the Admiral walked away, a terrible thought kept running through his mind. What if they were wrong? What if one man was enough? Deep in the mountains, Marcus Cole watched the Valorian activity through his telescope. He saw the massive troop formations gathering. He saw the new strategy taking shape. He smiled slightly. "So you are learning," he said to himself. "Good." It was getting too easy. He pulled out his notebook and opened it to a new page. He began to draw new plans, new traps, new ways to fight. The Valorians thought they were hunting him. But every step they took, every move they made, was exactly what he wanted. He was not just fighting them. He was teaching them fear, and the lesson was far from over. 2 weeks had passed since the invasion began. The galaxy was watching. News of the battle on New Haven had spread to every corner of known space. Aliens who had never seen a human were now talking about Marcus Cole. His name was whispered in bars and shouted in council chambers. Some called him a hero. Others called him a demon. The Valorians called him nothing. They were too busy dying. Admiral Zoreth's new strategy had failed. Moving in large groups protected his soldiers from the smaller traps, but Marcus had simply built bigger ones. An entire battalion was lost when the ground collapsed beneath them, dropping them into a flooded underground river. 300 soldiers drowned in the dark. Another formation was caught in a mountain pass when fires erupted on both sides. The flames spread so fast that there was no escape. The screams could be heard from orbit. The death count had passed 3,000. Almost 1,000 Valorians died every week. And still, no one had even touched Marcus Cole. Zorath sat alone in his quarters. The room was dark. He had not eaten in days. He had not slept in longer. His gray skin had turned pale. His 4 eyes were empty. Why? He whispered to the darkness. Why can we not stop one human? Dern. He had asked himself this question 1,000 times. He had studied every report, every battle, every death. He had looked for patterns. He had tried to predict where Marcus would strike next. It was impossible. The human did not fight like any enemy Zorath had ever faced. He did not try to win. He tried to survive. And there was no strategy in the galaxy that could defeat someone who was only trying to survive. A knock came at the door. Zorath did not answer. The door opened anyway. It was his second in command. His face was pale with shock. "Admiral," he said, "you need to see this." Zorath followed him to the bridge. Every officer was staring at the main screen. On it, a message was playing. A human message. A young woman in military uniform stood before a camera. Behind her, dozens of ships were visible through a window. Human ships. Warships. "This is Admiral Chen of the United Human Fleet," the woman said. "To the Valorian invasion force on New Haven. You have attacked a human world. You have come to murder one of our people. This will not stand." Zorath felt his heart freeze. "We are coming," Admiral Chen continued. 1,800 warships are on their way to New Haven. We will arrive in 6 days. You can stay and fight, or you can run. Either way, Marcus Cole is not alone. He has never been alone. When you hurt one human, you hurt all of us. The message ended. The bridge was silent. Every officer looked at Zorath, waiting for orders. But the Admiral had no words. His mind was racing. 1,800 human ships. It was not as many as his fleet. But human ships were dangerous. Human weapons were designed for destruction, and if the battle came to ship-to-ship combat, his exhausted, demoralized fleet would face fresh enemies who were hungry for revenge. "Sir," one of his officers said, "what do we do?" Zorath turned to face them. He wanted to give an inspiring speech. He wanted to tell them they would fight and win. But when he opened his mouth, different words came out. "How did this happen?" His voice cracked. "How did one man hold us off long enough for reinforcements to arrive? We had 5,000 ships. We had millions of soldiers. We had every advantage." No one answered. "I will tell you how," Zorath said. "Because we forgot what humans are. We remembered the virus that killed our fleet, but we forgot the man who made it. We thought he won by luck or by trickery. We were wrong." He pointed at the screen, where the distant planet turned slowly. "He won because humans do not give up. They do not know how. You can kill their friends. You can burn their homes. You can break their bodies, and they will keep fighting. They will fight with sticks and stones if they have nothing else. They will fight until their last breath." He lowered his hand. "And now, because we could not kill one old man in 2 weeks, an entire fleet is coming to destroy us." The bridge remained silent. Some officers looked ashamed. Others looked afraid. But everyone understood. Down on the planet, Marcus Cole was listening to the same message on a stolen Valorian radio. He sat against a tree, his body covered in dirt and dried blood. He was wounded in a dozen places. His left arm was broken. He had not slept in days, but he was smiling. 6 days, he said to himself. "I just need to hold on for 6 more days." He closed his eyes for a moment. He was so tired. His body wanted to give up. Every muscle screamed for rest. Every bone ached with pain, but his mind was still sharp. His will was still strong. He thought about his wife, who had died in the first Valorian invasion. He thought about his children, who had grown up without their mother. He thought about everyone who had ever told him to move on, to forget, to let go of his hate. He could not forget. He would never let go. He opened his eyes and forced himself to stand. 6 more days. 6 more days of fighting. 6 more days of killing. 6 more days of being the monster that the Valorians feared. He picked up his rifle and started walking. The sun was setting over the mountains. Shadows stretched across the land. Somewhere in those shadows, Valorian soldiers were searching for him. They would not find him. He would find them, and when the human fleet arrived, there would be a lot fewer Valorians to fight. He disappeared into the darkness once more. Behind him, the setting sun painted the sky red, like blood, like fire, like the death that was coming for his enemies. 6 more days. He could do anything for 6 more days. On the 6th day, the sky burned. Admiral Zorath watched from his bridge as the human fleet dropped out of hyperspace. 1,800 warships appeared like angry stars, their weapons already charging. At their head was the flagship of Admiral Chen, a massive vessel called the Unconquered. "All ships, prepare for battle," Zorath ordered. His voice was calm, but his hands were shaking. His fleet outnumbered the humans. 5,000 ships against 1,800. The numbers were in his favor, but numbers meant nothing against humans. He had learned that lesson on the surface below. In 3 weeks of fighting, Marcus Cole had killed over 4,000 Valorian soldiers. One man. 4,000 soldiers. The math was impossible, but the bodies were real. Now the humans had come with their ships and their weapons and their hunger for revenge. And Zorath knew, deep in his heart, that this battle was already lost. The first shots were fired. Human missiles streaked across space. Valorian cannons answered with walls of fire. Ships exploded on both sides. The darkness of space lit up with death. The battle lasted 7 hours. When it was over, the Valorian fleet was broken. 3,000 ships floated as burning wreckage. Another 1,000 had fled into hyperspace, running back to Valorian territory. The rest had surrendered. Admiral Zorath stood on his damaged bridge. Fires burned around him. His crew lay dead at their stations. He was alone. "Admiral Zorath." A voice came through the communication system. It was Admiral Chen. "Your fleet is destroyed. Your soldiers on the surface have surrendered. It is over." Zorath closed his eyes. Over. Such a simple word, but it carried the weight of everything. The end of the invasion. The end of his career. The end of Valorian power in this region of space. "What do you want?" he asked. "We want you to leave," Admiral Chen said. "We want you to go back to your empire and tell them what happened here. Tell them that you sent 5,000 warships to kill one human, and you failed." "Why?" Zorath's voice was barely a whisper. "Why are you letting us go?" There was a pause. Then Admiral Chen spoke again, and this time her voice was different, softer, almost sad. "Because we are not like you. We do not want to conquer. We do not want to destroy. We just want to live. But when someone threatens our people, we fight. And when the fight is over, we go home." She paused again. "Go home, Admiral, and tell your people to leave us alone. Because if you come back, there will be no mercy. Not next time." The communication ended. Zorath stood in the silence for a long time. Then he gave the order to retreat. The surviving Valorian ships gathered together and disappeared into hyperspace. They never came back. On the surface of New Haven, Marcus Cole walked out of the forest for the last time. He was barely alive. His body was broken in so many places that he could not count them. Blood covered his clothes. One eye was swollen shut. He walked with a limp that would never heal, but he was alive. And his people were safe. Humans surrounded him as he entered the main colony. Soldiers and civilians alike. They stared at him in silence. No one knew what to say. A young girl pushed through the crowd. She was maybe 8 years old. She walked up to Marcus and looked at him with wide eyes. "Are you the man who fought the aliens?" she asked. Marcus knelt down, wincing at the pain. He looked at the girl and managed a small smile. "I am," he said. "Were you scared?" He thought about the question. He thought about the endless nights alone in the darkness, the cold, the hunger, the knowledge that thousands of enemies were hunting him, the certainty that he would probably die. "Yes," he said honestly. "I was very scared." "Then why did you fight?" Marcus looked around at the crowd. He saw families holding each other, children hiding behind their parents, old men and women who had survived too many wars already. All of them had been in danger because of him. All of them had been saved by him. "Because someone had to," he said. "Because you cannot let fear stop you from doing what is right." The Valorians wanted to show the galaxy that humans are weak, that we can be hunted, that we can be killed. I had to show them they were wrong. The girl nodded slowly, as if she understood. Are you a hero? She asked. Marcus shook his head. No. I am just a man who did not want to die, who did not want his people to die. He put a hand on her shoulder. Heroes are in stories. In real life, there are just people, scared, tired, broken people, who keep fighting anyway. He stood up with difficulty. Admiral Chen was approaching with a group of soldiers. She stopped in front of him and saluted. Captain Cole, she said. The Valorian Empire has been defeated. Your world is free. Just Marcus, he replied. I am not a captain anymore. Just an old man with a bad leg and too many scars. Admiral Chen smiled. The galaxy would disagree. Word of what you did has spread everywhere. Every species that was ever conquered by the Valorians is celebrating. You have become a symbol. Marcus sighed. He did not want to be a symbol. He wanted to sleep for a month. He wanted to eat a real meal. He wanted to forget the faces of all the soldiers he had killed. What happens now? He asked. Now you rest. The war is over. The Valorians will not come back for a long time. Maybe never. She gestured at the celebrating crowd. You saved these people, Marcus. You saved all of us. Try to enjoy the peace. Marcus nodded slowly. Peace. He had almost forgotten what that felt like. He walked away from the crowd, toward the hills where his house had stood. The building was destroyed now, bombed by the Valorians in their anger. Nothing remained but ashes and memories. He stood there for a long time, looking at the sunset. The same sunset he had watched for 8 years. The same colors, the same beauty. But everything was different now. Behind him, he heard footsteps. A young soldier approached and stood beside him. Sir, the soldier said, I wanted to thank you. My family lived here. You saved them. Marcus did not turn around. I did what I had to do. How did you do it? The soldier asked. How did you fight 5,000 warships alone? Marcus finally turned to look at him. His eyes were tired but steady. I did not fight the warships, he said. I fought the people inside them. Ships are just metal. Weapons are just tools. Wars are won by will. And no one in the galaxy has more will than a human who is protecting their home. He looked back at the sunset. Remember that, son. Technology changes. Empires rise and fall. But the human spirit remains. As long as we refuse to give up, as long as we keep fighting, we will survive. We will always survive. The soldier nodded and walked away. Marcus stood alone on the hill, watching the last light fade from the sky. Stars began to appear. Somewhere out there, the Valorians were running home with tales of the human who would not die. He smiled. Let them remember. Let them tell their children and their children's children. Let the whole galaxy know. Humans were not prey. They never had been. And anyone who forgot that lesson would learn it again. The hard way.